Hello, welcome to Tuesday's ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the southeast. A 27-year-old dies in Peacehaven in an incident involving a Sussex police car. His devastated family say they need to know what happened.
How has it ended up that I'm never going to see you again? He went out to get a burger for dinner and has never come home.
It's local elections week. Who's in, who's out? We're on the south coast to find out if the Tory tide is on the turn.
Also this evening, creating Hedgehog havens, how you can help bring Mrs Tiggy Winkle and her friends back from the brink.
And getting into the mood for warmer weather, dancing, colour and pink frilly nighties. Kent welcomes the summer to come with the Festival of the Sweeps. Good evening. The brother of a man who died after being struck by a police car in Sussex has been speaking of his shock. 27-year-old Arthur Holscher died in Peacehaven on Saturday night.
Witnesses recorded attempts by emergency crews to save his life. Tonight, Arthur's family say they want answers as an independent police complaints investigation gets underway. James Dunham has our report.
Arthur Holscher, hit by a police car on Saturday night. The end of his life. For his family, the beginning of an immensely painful journey.
Oh, he had the biggest heart. Right? He was larger than life, the guy. Honestly, he was 6'3", massive smile on him. And, loved his kids, his missus, his daughters. He had so many people, his best friends' kids. It's just...
You all just heartbroken.
I just don't. I can't understand how is this resulted in him dying. To be quite honest with you.
This video recorded the dramatic aftermath of the collision. It's believed Arthur was being pursued by officers. Witnesses claim police tried to restrain and handcuff the 27-year-old as he lay on the ground. The legs you can see here are one of the officers. Sussex police say first responders were giving CPR. But despite the efforts of the emergency services, including paramedics who later arrived here, Arthur Holscher could not be saved. His injuries too severe. By daylight on Sunday, a sea of officers and police cars remained at the scene. One vehicle taken away under the cover of a sheet. It is now the job of the police watchdog to uncover what's happened here.
How has it ended up that I'm never going to see you again? He went out to get a burger for dinner and has never come home. That's when we were younger.
Sussex police described what's happened to Arthur as a tragic incident. Carl says he wants answers and not gestures of condolence.
Well, over to James, who's in Peacehaven for us this evening. So what happens next?
Sussex police say they won't comment further until the findings of the police watchdog's independent report are published. That could take days, if not weeks. You can see here the dozens of tributes that have been left for Arthur Holscher. But what's compounding the grief for the family is their sense of injustice.
OK, James, for now, thank you.
All the day's news now on the P&O ferry. The Pride of Kent has failed its safety re-inspection this afternoon and has been detained by the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency. It comes on the same day as the Spirit of Britain carries passengers for the first time since the company sacked 800 employees and replaced them with agency staff. It's operating on a limited timetable today, returning to a full schedule tomorrow.
More than 500 people arrived in small boats on the Kent coast in the last 2 days. It follows an 11-day stretch without any crossings during bad weather. More than 7,000 people have made the dangerous journey across the Channel so far this year.
A man has been found guilty of threatening the Hove MP, Peter Kyle, by holding up a noose outside Parliament and telling him, "This is what we do to traitors." Lance O'Connor was found guilty of causing the MP harassment, alarm or distress and given a conditional discharge for 12 months.
The 2-week bin strike in the Wealdon district has been extended to 4 weeks with the potential to go on for even longer. That's according to Gary Palmer, the GMB Union regional organiser. Refuse workers have walked out in a row with employers Biffa about pay. The company says it's trying to resolve the dispute.
3 people have been arrested after an 18-year-old cyclist was killed in a collision in Tenham near Sittingbourne. He was hit by a black VW on Lower Road just after midnight yesterday. He was seriously injured in the crash and died later at the scene. In many parts of the region, this Thursday is your opportunity to vote for the politicians who decide when your bins are collected and where new houses are built.
Well, one of the big local election battlegrounds is in Worthing. If Labour were to take control on Friday, it would be the first time since the borough was created almost 50 years ago.
Our reporter Kit Bradshaw has been taking the temperature in the Sussex seaside town.
For more than a century, families have flocked to Worthing for day trips by the sea. Victoria and Louis and their 2 young children decided to make the move permanently 3 years ago to create their dream home.
We loved living in Brighton, we loved all the opportunities that Brighton gave us, but we wanted somewhere with a bit more space, a bit more family friendly, somewhere where we could have a garden and be able to go quite easily out for walks. And moving to Worthing offered us that space, those opportunities to get out and do lots of things with the kids.
To what degree new residents are altering the political climate here is a big talking point ahead of Thursday's council elections. For many years, Worthing was seen as true blue, with the Conservatives in charge of local politics. And while the Lib Dems have long had a presence here, Labour hadn't had a single councillor elected from the 1970s until as recently as 2017. They're currently at level pegging with the Conservatives in terms of council seats, a sign of the speed of political change here. The historic Piers Southern Pavilion has undergone a transformation of its own, reopening in recent weeks as a new restaurant.
It means a lot to a lot of people, and certainly from its previous iterations as tea rooms, nightclubs, wedding venues. Everybody's got a cultural investment in here, and we'd like to see people return to it in a really positive fashion. And we're hoping that extends through a tourist season into summer, but also regular off-season work as well.
Those who've lived here for many years say it's important the town retains its unique charm.
It's lost the tag of perhaps being just a retirement town, and people are beginning to recognise the value of the town, its seafront, its heritage buildings, and how we can restore and develop our heritage so that it contributes to our economy.
This local cafe chain started in Brighton, branching out along the coast last year. Bin strikes and climate change are among the hot topics exercising loyal customers ahead of polling day.
I think clean streets, that would be a big issue.
As a brand new electric car owner, there's 2 EV chargers in Worthing. It's ridiculous.
There's lots of new businesses, but they're mostly cafes and pubs, and we could do with a bit more retail in our town.
I would really like to see a lot of the town development go towards more walkable streets, more cycling infrastructure.
It'll be up to voters to decide who's in and out at the town hall. With a host of issues on the horizon, we'll have to wait to see what impact the changing face of this place will have on the shifting of the political tides.
To get live in Worthing now. Worthing is one of the more knife-edge contests around the southeast, but it's not the only one, is it, Kit?
No, that's right. Far from it. A lot of the council contests in our region are quite finely balanced. Labour, for example, will be hoping to advance in Thurrock, in Essex. Now, they're unlikely to take the council, but could deny the Tories a majority there. Over in Crawley, in Sussex, Labour will be aiming for a majority on the borough council after polling day. and they'll be hoping for a good night in Tunbridge Wells too. Now, Ada in Sussex has half the council up for election this time round, and most experts think that will remain Conservative. Along the coast in Hastings, that's expected to stay under Labour control. In Maidstone, in Kent, it's a third of the council up for election. Now, that's been no overall control, no party with a majority for some years now, and there's not expected to be a big change there.
So, Kit, when will the results be in?
Well, a bit of disappointment if you're a real political enthusiast, because only one council in our region is expecting to count overnight, Thursday into Friday. Most won't open the ballot boxes until Friday morning, so expect the council results to come in throughout the day. But if you want the bigger picture, London, results from Scotland and also from Northern Ireland, you'll have to wait to Saturday. So the message for political anoraks is stock up on the popcorn, because it might be a long weekend.
Weekend sorted, Kit, thank you.
I can't think of anything to add to that, really. Yeah, weekend sorted. You're watching ITV News in the Meridian region, still to come on the programme. Giving the Hedgehog a helping hand. We'll tell you what you can do.
And making a song and dance about the Sweeps Festival in Rochester. Can't wait for that.
Well, for more on all of our stories, you can, of course, go to our website, itv.com/Meridian. You can get in touch, details on the screen right now. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, on Twitter and on Instagram as well.
Now, they may have a combined wealth of £146 million, but a group of lottery winners aren't resting on their laurels. The 21-strong team have been busy helping a charity in Sussex.
Yes, Veterans Growth near Hastings uses horticulture as therapy for ex-service personnel with mental health issues. Malcolm Shaw reports.
It was in December last year that Paul MacDonald from Bexhill scooped just over £1 million in the National Lottery. Today he's back down to earth, busy building a cold frame at Veterans Growth near Hastings. The charity helps people who served in the armed forces to improve their mental health.
Being lucky puts you in a position where you can give something back, and we can donate a bit of our time as well as some funds as well.
Veterans Growth was set up in 2019 following an alarming rise in suicide among ex-service personnel. It uses horticulture as a form of therapy. The food produced also helps veterans eat well and save money.
And myself, I was injured in 2015 in the military, was medically discharged, and just found that the help and support out there was quite hard to get. And being military hospital on and off, I found gardening was the only thing that kind of helped me.
The winner workforce helped lay a new path for wheelchair users, potted up seedlings, which will eventually be on display at the Chelsea Flower Show, and installed a new fence to keep cattle from wandering in and grazing on the new growth. Sharon Hall won £1 million on a scratch card back in 2004. She spent 22 years in the Royal Navy and knows the stress that service can bring.
You just want to show that people that just because you won the lottery doesn't mean that you're aloof, but you're prepared to go and spend some time helping other people.
I know everybody buys a lottery ticket to hopefully win big, but the other side of the coin is that it funds projects like this, and people should see and be aware of things like this.
Veterans Growth has received almost £80,000 of National Lottery funding. It plans to expand its much-needed service. A helping hand from the winner workforce is another step towards that goal. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News, Hastings.
That's what you call giving back big time. Lovely to see. It's 14 minutes past 6 and the ITV Evening News continues here with the national and international news at 6:30 with the details, Mary Nightingale.
Coming up in the programme, hailed a hero in Ukraine, but back home, more pressure for the PM. Boris Johnson received rapturous applause as he addressed the Ukrainian parliament. But here, there are more questions over what can be done to ease the cost of living crisis.
So you acknowledge you are not doing everything you can.
There is more that we can do.
Also tonight, a woman's legal right to an abortion is under threat in the United States. And find out how this man plans to turn around the England men's cricket fortunes. Do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
But before that, the hedgehog population in some parts of the country has fallen by 3/4 over the last 2 decades, according to a charity. The biggest decline has been in rural areas. It's thought that a loss of habitat is partly to blame.
However, in what is Hedgehog Awareness Week, there are signs that urban populations have stabilised in recent years, according to a report by the British Hedgehog Preservation Society, that is. Again, say it again, for good measure, with a cold. Kevin Ashford has more.
7 hedgehogs are currently being cared for at this rescue centre at Norton near Faversham. By November, there'll be around 40. The centre's founder says hedgehogs are special creatures.
I think we really owe it to them to really help their numbers try and stabilise and increase, because they're just such a magical creature. I mean, there's nothing in the UK quite like them. They're spiky, they've got such an attitude, they've all got different personalities, likes and dislikes, so they are just such magical, mysterious creatures.
2 years ago, hedgehogs in this country were put on a conservation red list, classifying them as being vulnerable to extinction. The hedgehog population has long been in decline, but the last 2 decades has seen a rapid shrinking. One of the latest estimates puts the total number of hedgehogs in this country at 879,000. Since the beginning of the century, in some parts of the country, hedgehog numbers have fallen by 30%. In others, particularly rural areas, the decline has been up to 75%. Hedgehog campaigners had a boost last month when a type of slug pellet was banned.
It is good news for hedgehogs because it's one less threat for them. The metaldehyde slug pellets, even if they didn't directly injure or kill the hedgehogs, they damage the food chain that the hedgehogs feed upon, and that could have had an accumulative effect inside them and caused problems for them. So certainly good news that that's gone, but there are plenty of other nasties for them to worry about.
Another hopeful sign for conservationists is that hedgehog numbers in some urban areas appear to be stabilising and even slowly increasing. It's thought partly because of the work of rescue centres and also projects to improve hedgehog habitats. The British Hedgehog Preservation Society is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. Those 4 decades have seen a steady decline in hedgehog populations. The charity is hoping its work will help start to reverse that trend soon. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
Now, Rochester finally managed to hold its 40th Sweeps Festival this weekend after taking 2 years off because of COVID restrictions.
Organisers say hundreds of thousands of visitors came to watch and take part in what's thought to be the biggest May Day celebration of its kind in the world. Here's Abigail Bracken.
Folk music and dancing returning to the streets of Rochester for the Sweeps Festival's long-awaited 40th anniversary, bringing bells, metal scaffold poles and pink frilly dresses for a May Day tradition that was revived in the 1980s.
I never ever thought it would grow to as big as it is. There's probably 200,000 people here later on, and it's a big event, and it's well mannered. Everybody's happy. It's just wonderful.
The Sweeps Festival first started in the 1700s when chimney sweeps would parade through Rochester, hoping to collect money to see them through the summer months. Now the festival attracts 40 Morris dancing sides from around the country.
It's such a lovely atmosphere. Everybody loves the dancing. The people of Rochester are really friendly and welcoming.
It's lovely to see everybody out here having fun after so long of not having fun.
The spectacle brings hundreds of thousands of visitors to Medway.
It's good for the town and good for everyone as well to see the costumes and the dancing and the food and everything.
What's the best bit about today?
Dancing!
And there's no shortage of dancing here as they celebrate the festival's 40th year. Abigail Bracken, ITV News, Rochester.
Rochester doing it in style. Love that pink nightie.
Yes, I'm still getting used to the ways of the southeast, and that's helped. I'm going to go next year, definitely.
Flamboyant.
With my nightie. Right, Holly is here to talk about the weather and something that might make a bit of wildlife history.
That's right, so the glossy ibis, which if you don't know what it is a bird related to the stork and the heron. I have a photo here and you can see why it's called the glossy ibis. So some lovely colours there. We've got one spotted here in Bexhill-on-Sea by Jeff Penfold, and another one, the rarer two-headed ibis here, captured by Josie. It's not a common visitor to the UK typically, but this winter it's been very dry in parts of Spain and Iberia. Now, you normally find these birds in wetlands around the Mediterranean, but with a changing climate, they're tending to come further northwards, and this winter they've come to the UK in larger numbers. They found a very mild winter, and many of them have stayed here, and it's thought that they will potentially breed through the spring and summer, which would be the first time it's happened.
But briefly, it's not positive news, is this?
It's not, no. Of course, this is climate change tied into much wider problems, but rising temperatures, changing rainfall patterns, and where one species finds a new home, of course, another species gets pushed out. So on average, you're seeing a lot of species being pushed further north and habitats decreasing, both because of climate change and also just losing habitats in general. So unfortunately, nice for twitchers, but generally not very positive news, I'm afraid.
Oh, well, Holly, let's hope the weather's more positive. Here she is with your forecast.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
After a lot of dry weather through April, we are looking at some rain through this week at times. Tomorrow, I think outbreaks of it at first, maybe some heavy and possibly thundery showers later on in the day. Thursday is drier. Friday, we've got a weather front moving through later in the afternoon. That's likely to bring some spells of rain. And then quieter, I think, into the weekend. So this is the bigger picture. As I say, outbreaks of rain and some showers for tomorrow, drier for Thursday. This is the weather front affecting us later on Friday, before that high builds in for Saturday and Sunday. At the moment, then an odd shower out there, but generally speaking, it's dry. Cloud comes and goes a bit into the first part of tonight before tending to thicken, and you can just see some rain there gathering behind me, which heads our way towards the tail end of the night. Temperatures, though, shouldn't fall away too far, 8, 9, 10 degrees to start tomorrow morning. But yes, a wet start, I think, for many of us as that rain moves through. Turning a bit more showery, I think, as the day goes on. We've got this southwesterly breeze, certainly breezier, I think, than today, although temperatures actually, for many, getting a little higher, fresher into that coast where you have got that breeze coming in off the sea. And you can just see something a bit brighter there creeping in from the west towards the tail end of the day. So you might see, or at least in places, a bit of sunshine creeping through, but that leads to some heavy and possibly thundery showers as we head into tomorrow evening. You could even catch a bit of hail. They clear away though, and this is higher pressure trying to nudge in for Thursday. So as I say, a drier and probably a warmer feeling day, I think, on Thursday. Friday, we've got that weather front coming through later on in the afternoon, bringing some rain for a time. But then, yes, hopefully some spells of sunshine and a reasonable look into this weekend. Take care.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
And that is it from us for this evening. The ITV Evening News is, of course, coming up very shortly. I'm back with the late update at 10:30. Bye-bye.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.